welcome to AOK Games. I did the previous 787 Microsoft Flight Simulator review in the midst of trying to do a review for this aircraft, so I got delayed a little bit. However, this will be a long format video and it's not particularly a review, so to speak. This is indeed the Flight Factor 757 version 2. It's the 200 series aircraft, ETOPS with the winglet. I've got about $120 invested into this product because everybody's always saying, well, not everybody, I want study level, I want study level, I want study level. And that, my friends, is exactly what this is. But more than that for me, this aircraft holds a special place in my heart for two reasons. Number one, when I was a youngster, I remember flying from Newark to St. Thomas, that is down in the British Virgin Islands, and essentially I will never forget the high-powered takeoff that these Rolls-Royce RB211s essentially give for performance towards this aircraft. It is quite a remarkable aircraft, and if you're not familiar with this aircraft in terms of the real-world counterpart, these engines provide enough thrust to pretty much unanimously say this is the most overpowered aircraft in terms of commercial airliner that essentially has ever been made. And that takeoff that day as a youngster essentially changed my realization of reality forever, because it was dang near straight up with a full load of passengers and baggage and everything. It was incredible. This aircraft is indeed sporting the 8K AZR textures and the 8K cockpit textures, as well as it has the modern professional avionics upgrade. So all said and done, that's about 120 out the gate. So we're going to play with this today. I'm going to do the full route. Of course, I won't do the mostly long flight bits at cruise altitude, but let's go ahead and jump inside, and I'll also mention the second reason that this aircraft is special to me. Okay, so welcome, of course, to the cockpit area of the 757-200 with winglets. Now, the second reason this aircraft is important to me, and it changed my life quite literally, is I am an A&P mechanic. If you've watched my Just Flight Tomahawk video, you may know that by now. And essentially, I worked in the Northeast sector for an airline that was absolved into another airline. They're no longer in existence, but they did have a 757 ETOPS with winglets. It was a 200, and it did have the RB211s on it. What's important to me about that is I was sitting here, Chief Mechanic was sitting here, and I was going ahead after being checked out and given the okay to taxi this aircraft from the co-pilot seat here by using the tiller and the throttles to the engine test stand, where we did a full engine run-up on both the port and starboard engines after some engine maintenance. And what was cool about that was I've been in some pretty powerful automobiles, I would say, in my day, but nothing, my friends, comes even close to the throttles and the power that a 757 with twin Rolls-Royce 211s has. It was astonishing. In fact, it was so cool and inspirational that I'll never forget it. So as a youngster, this plane affected me emotionally, and as an aviation professional mechanic, this aircraft came back decades later and proved to me that it was still just as cool then as it is now. You'll also notice that these are hopefully coming through, depending on the bitrate, of course, than the upload quality loss for YouTube. This is the 8K upgraded cabin interior with the advanced modern avionics. So there's some really neat things I want to point out about this, that being these are CRT screens, and you'll see even with the brightness up, they start looking blurry, just like CRTs kind of portray themselves in the real world as well. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I'd like to go through this in completion, of course, and I'll skip, the cruises and all that, but there's so many wholesome, cool things to figure out and play with here. These cabin call buttons, I think you'll get a kick out of that. We'll experiment with them in a little bit. I was pleasantly surprised. So that being said, I'd like to turn on the batteries before we actually get into the flight route and everything else here. Essentially because we need to start the IRS alignment process. I need to get this APU on, and yes, indeed, all of these buttons are clickable. We are at JFK. These are 8K textures running at 4K in real time, so as soon as we take off, if you're noticing a little bit of stutter, you will hopefully see that be dissipated quite a bit at altitude. So I'm just going to get this bird ready to essentially go, because it is quite the process, and we want to do this in all the fidelity that it's worth. It is several years old, but that does not mean it's bad. It is an oldie but goodie. And as I am new to the X-Plane 12 experience, and this is my my second X-Plane 12, as it's not a full review, I just kind of want to give it the time and the props that it deserves. So setting up the cabin altitude control there for our differential flow valve. APU is on. I'm going to look back up here. I'm going to go over to the P position on the rotary knob there, and I'm going to switch this to align. We'll wait for the align on the left, center, and right hand IRSs to flash, letting us know they are ready to start their alignment process. And then we can go down to a better view out the window, and I'll show you the Navigraph page, essentially, of our flight plan today. And we'll just let that be there. We'll go ahead and throw on our APU generator. We'll throw on our utility bus crossfeeds, and we'll just leave all of the engine generators alone right now. Let's just go to the engine controls, activate them, and then throw on the engine limiters while we are at it. Okay, so that's good to go. Now, what I want to do is get myself centered here again, and I would essentially like to I'd like to go ahead and throw on the flight plan here so you can see that. And what's important about that is just noticing, the waypoints. We are actually scheduled to take off from 22 right. So that being said, that's what the flight plan looks like. I'll pop up our page here for the Navigraph charts, and essentially we're over here, right? We are right in where this star is, and you can see we're going to 22 right. So we're at the maintenance stand near the hangar. We'll just come here, pop a left, and then pull a U-turn here. 22 right will take off. But what I want to show you is our standard instrument departure. Kennedy 5 in this aircraft is also known as the JFK 5 departure. Again, here we are. So we're going to be taking off here. And the JFK 5 transition we're using is ship. Then we'll go on towards the airways with the VNAV, so on and so forth. It's going to give us a climb heading of 224 degrees. So we're going to try to abide by that. And then we'll go from 224, maybe possibly direct ship. So we'll see. Not going to be using the ATC today, but I kind of just wanted to show you that along with the flight plan originally from SimBrief. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and let's go ahead and program up to 224 degrees heading after we rotate and take off out of here. Got that going on there. Let me go ahead and remove this. We'll probably use it again for important information. However, with the APU running and the generator on the APU working as it were, let's go ahead and hit up this FMC here. This is indeed the 57200 with the 211s. I've got the latest Navigraph database here, AirX Cycle 2405. It's a little newer on Flight Simulator, but that's just the way it is, and confirmed to be 2.6.12. So it's their most recent version of the aircraft, right? So I'm going to go ahead and type in all of the normal things and go ahead and first tell it that we're at JFK, but I'm going to use the GPS position. And then what I'd like to do as well is just make sure we got all of these here the way that they should be. So still don't have the attitude indicator, but that's okay. I'd like to go back to the page here, and I'd like to type in the gross weight. We have essentially nothing filled out there, because what I need to do now is bring up our page here and then go into our flight plan. So charts, let's see, JFK, flight plan, and we'll use these numbers here. So I'm going to check this out in real time with you. Essentially, cost index is 120. And let's scroll down here to our flight log here, and we'll look at the flight levels. So top-off climb, TOC, we're looking at flight level 400. That's 40,000 feet. So we'll come back down here, and we'll tell the aircraft that our cruise level is going to be flight level 00. We said that our cost index was, where do we see that? 120, right there. We'll come back, let the plane know cost index is 120. And then we're going to throw in, let's see, the cruise winds. We'll see if we can find that. If not, it shouldn't. I've given us 40 minutes of extra fuel. So if we can't calculate the wind at 40,000 feet, let's see what we've got here. Top of climb, 279 at 33, essentially. Right? That works for me. 279 at 33. It gives it at least a approximation for fuel efficiency of what we're going to be doing. And then our reserves. Let's see if we can find the weights here. Zero fuel weight cargo, yada, yada, yada. 52,000 max. Positioning extra. So, let's see if we can find something a little bit more accurate here. We'll burn maybe 15, almost 15,000. And lots and lots and lots and lots of information. So in the event of reserves here, final reserves, I'll go ahead and just throw those in. 4.2, although it would take us 55.84 to get to our alternate. Okay, contingency fuel, 17. Let's just throw in 1.8 down there for reserves. Staying in the area. If we set lower, we'll have a lot more because we have enough with the Simbri flight plan to essentially fly to our alternate, which is Tango Foxtrot Foxtrot Romeo. So there's more than enough. So that's why I'm throwing in the low reserve of 1.8 there. Okay, if we go to takeoff, I'm going to essentially say that we are at air temperature 14. Right, that's in Celsius. And then if I bring up this part here, while removing, of course, our flight plan, bring this up, right, our EFB, and go to the ground operations, and I can get our CG is at 33. So let's just rough place that in there for now. So the aircraft actually has, we've got 30,000 pounds of fuel on the EFB. If we look up here, it says we have 33,000 pounds. So we could technically do that, but to demonstrate the aircraft, I'd like to call the fuel truck out. And there it is, fastest service in history. And I'd like to say, let's throw in 40,000 pounds. Let's load the custom. Aha, the doors are closed. I see. So this is where you get into the operations of the aircraft, essentially, where you can open and close doors, so on and so forth. See if I can figure this out. I think we'll just open these all up because I know, well, you know, in an effort to show, of course, what's going on with this aircraft, I'd like to No passenger bus, of course. We need to load the passengers. So, see, there you go. You've got the passengers on there. And this all loads in real time, which is kind of really cool. So our flight plan, I believe, is 170 passengers. And it'll let you know. That's what I like about it. Everybody says, "Oh, where's all the buttons to click? Where's all this? Where's all that?" Well, you know what? That's what it is. No stairs. It lets you know. It will actually let you know. Hey, you essentially need to make everything work. So let's go ahead and actually put all this on here, right? You can see all this. If we're going to do this, let's just do the whole thing on up, right? At least everything that matters. See if we can get 170. Okay. So we'll let that load up for a while. Let's go back inside. And then you can hear the passengers loading on board, which is really kind of cool. So that's going to do its thing. I'll close this. We know that the CG is changing. Let's see something here. So because I've started the loading and I asked for 33.1 to 40,000, the difference, the truck outside is actually loading the fuel into the aircraft. So we'll let that load in real time. It's going to obviously change our CG. And what else is really cool about this is I can just turn all of these people down. Because if you don't want to hear them, it's nice to not have to actually listen to all of those passengers. Not sure. Judging by my volume, it doesn't seem like you can hear them that much to begin with. But we'll go ahead and we'll let that go. So all the extra noise you may or may not hear essentially is coming from all of the fuel trucks outside and the buses. So let's let that go. And then let's turn on some air. So we need bleed, we need isolation. We've got our flight deck to auto-maintain, which is really good to see. And then I will go ahead and bring the sound down just a little bit for you all, is to not blast the cabin out with pneumatic noises. Okay, that being said, we'll hop back in here, and we're going to put our V-speeds on, right? We need that. And then we will go here, and we will also go to runway speed for the wind, non-factor today. Let's go to our route. Essentially, I have a company route here. That's KJFK to TIST. Company route. Load. And we'll also A to Z is what our flight plan ID is. We are going to be taking off from runway 22 right. And there's our direct to ship. Everything looks great there. So let's go ahead and activate that. And then we'll go to performance initialization. And now that we're getting our fuel added, when we're almost to 40,000 pounds, I'll go ahead and change the performance CG again on the takeoff, right? Because that's not 33% anymore for our trim. So to do that, let's check our fuel again. 39.9 and 40,000. So let's go ahead, bring our EFB back up, and we'll go to the ground operations. And essentially, it's 24. Okay. So we're still at 24. Actually, 33 to 24. So we want to give the performance computers here essentially as much as they possibly can to fly the aircraft the right way. So we're going to get... Oh, sorry about that. We're going to have to go to trim 3.9. We're a little out of trim right now. So we'll fix that. Essentially... Well, I guess we can do it right now, can we not? Okay, so because they're hydraulical and electrical, all of these systems, we'll have to do that once we actually start the motors up and have generators, hydraulic and electrical power. We'll just have to remember that. It's going to be a flaps 5 takeoff, so let's finish up here with our route. Okay, we've got all that in, but what we essentially need now is to program our departure. So here is our JFK 5, and we are definitely going to leave from 22 right. We're going to execute that. Now our FMS is essentially up and running. The HSI is on there with the IRSs. Everything's aligned. We are slated to do the 224 after takeoff to direct ship, hopefully. Okay, route's all programmed in there. We'll go ahead and we'll go back to the menu here, and we'll go through the legs, and we know that everything is programmed. It looks pretty good. And we will do the arrival once we actually get to cruising altitude of 42,000 feet. Of course, if you guys are missing a lot of steps in between, I will go ahead and bring that back up. So we've got our takeoff performance numbers there. We've got everything we need as evidenced. So what I'd like to do at this point is essentially go for an engine startup, right? Let's get to our overhead here. We're going to use these. We've got our engine controls on. I want to throw on our hydraulic pumps real quick and our electric pumps. Let's see if we can go ahead and adjust that trim now, maybe. There you go. You can see a little closer. Let me zoom in. There you go, right at about 3.9. We'll set for rejected takeoff just in case. And we're going to go to essentially a flaps 5 position. Hard to see, but we'll only need 5 once. There we go, close enough. And looking back overhead, let's go ahead and turn off the isolation and the packs for now, and then let's get those engines running. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and before we ruin everybody's day outside, let's go ahead and go to ground operations, and we'll remove the chocks, the fuel truck, the waste truck, all of the things that are in our way. Tell the passengers they're good, and the loaders, they are good to leave us alone. Let's go to the airplane, and then let's make sure all of our doors are closed. And that's that. Oh, by the way, this aircraft does have failure scenarios that you can run. Really cool. So in flight, we'll go to the checklist, and then we'll go to amplified. Let me remove these subs here. So you can actually do the auto perform. So if you want to do the power up, it'll set everything the way that it needs to be set, right? You can check all these off, or you can do it yourself. I, myself, am just doing these because I kind of want you to see all of the essentials here, just to show you how, how complete this is. Tests everything, does it all. It's insane. I love it. So there we go. Okay, we'll leave that there, and actually, we could use charts. It does have Navigraph, but obviously I have the other one on standby. Anyways, without further delay, let's go ahead and start this aircraft up. Yeah, we'll make sure that our engine controls are going to work, because we need fuel. Left-hand and right-hand engine. Let's make sure that our lights are on. And we'll go ahead and throw the landing lights and everything on, because we absolutely do not want people to get sucked up into the engine. Area should be clear. And I've got all these lights on for us. So that being said, I've gone ahead and locked the cabin door. Let's go ahead and get this beast rolling. So fuel pumps, cross feed valves, engine controls are on. We have bleed. We need the isolation again, of course, without the packs running. Seatbelts to auto. And let's start the right engine first. So, hoping to get the summarize here. Yeah, there we go. Starting up, let's go ahead and give this sucker some fuel. if the engine sounds are subdued for you, that is essentially because I like the noises, but I don't want them to override my speaking here. Okay, and it appears as though we do indeed have a good light off here, right? Yes, we do. Okay, let's look to our overhead, and we'll make sure that our generator for the right-hand engine is on. All of our fuel pumps are on, and we are in auto for the right-hand engine. Let's go to our left engine, rotate that. We'll hop on over here, throw right engine bleed on, put the packs back on, and then zoom on down here and wait for the left-hand engine to spool up. And it's coming alive. Introduce the fuel. Okay. Looks like our engine is coming alive. All these cabin messages are not of concern at this point. We just want to make sure we don't have any engine fires or failures, because this can have scheduled failures, although they're not programmed. Let's go ahead and activate our stopwatch here. And we'll turn on our left-hand generator. We'll make sure we are back to auto for our left-hand engine control, and we're going to force feed the air to the passengers. And left-hand engine and right-hand engine are indeed functioning. We'll remove the isolation. We'll remove actually the ability for the cross flow of air. We'll take off the APU bleed air, and we will turn that down as we no longer need that. And then we will run, of course, over all of our controls here. We need trim air and the recirculating fans. It's always a good idea to scan over everything. All of these temperatures are essentially in auto, and we're just going to leave them there. Window heats can come on in an effort to clean the messages. Emergency lights off, and I told you that we will play with this. Okay, there you go. You see, he's already getting snooty, and that's the thing with that guy. He really does not seem like he's a personable individual. So that being said, let's go back to the piloting command position, and essentially what's cool about this is if you look at the lighting in this aircraft, you can see that they are indeed CRT screens, and if they look blurry to you, that's intentionally done, because this aircraft has CRT screens, and they are very representative of what turning the brightness up on a CRT screen looks like. I love that attention to detail. It gives you kind of like the reality of what an old school monitor looks like. You can see our APU EGT is coming down because it's almost done turning off. Let's go ahead and check our flight surfaces while we're at it. Free, clear, and correct. Trims are all good. We are at 224 degrees. I'll turn the speed up to 250 just in case we need to follow our speed. However, everything is looking good here. So what I would like to do is essentially show you another thing right before I remove the parking brakes and we get out of here. I believe under operations in the airplane, I could be wrong, PA. So here you go. You can essentially,
all flight attendants, doors automatic.
There you go. You can talk to, or you can have your simulated crew essentially talk. You can have them talk to people. So here's the safety demonstration. We'll cruise on out of here, and I'll taxi, and I would like for you to check this out. We'll go to 22 right.
When the seatbelt sign illuminates, you must fasten your seatbelt. Insert the metal fittings one into the other. Tighten it by pulling on the loose end of the strap. To release your seatbelt, lift the upper portion of the buckle. We suggest that you keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the flight, as we may experience turbulence. Please take a few moments now to locate your nearest exit. In some cases, Your nearest exit may be behind you. If we need to evacuate the aircraft, floor level lighting will guide you towards the exit. Doors can be opened by moving the handle in the direction of the arrow. Each door is equipped with an inflatable slide, which may also be detached and used as a life raft. Oxygen and the air pressure are always being monitored. In the event of a decompression, an oxygen mask will automatically appear in front of you. To start the flow of oxygen, pull the mask towards you. Place it firmly over your nose and mouth. Secure the elastic band behind your head and breathe normally. Although the bag does not inflate, oxygen is flowing into the mask. If you are traveling with a child or someone who requires assistance, secure your mask on first and then assist the other person. Keep your mask on until the crew member advises you to remove it. In the event of an emergency, please assume the bracing position. Lean forward with your hands on top of your head and your elbows against your thighs. Ensure your feet are flat on the floor. Life vests are located in a pouch under your seat or between the armrests. When instructed to do so, open the plastic pouch. Remove the vest, slip it over your head, pass the straps around your waist, and adjust at the front. To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the red cord, only when leaving aircraft. If you need to refill the vest, blow into the mouthpieces. Use the whistle and light to attract attention. Also, your seat bottom cushion can be used as a flotation device. Pull the cushion from the seat, slip your arms into the straps, and hug the cushion to your chest. The following electronic devices: smartphones, CD players, laptop computers may be used when the seatbelt sign is off, or when permitted by the crew. Mobile telephones, remote-controlled toys. At all times, we remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the smoke detectors installed in the lavatories is prohibited by law. You will find this and all the other safety information in the card located in the seat pocket in front of you. We strongly suggest you read it before takeoff. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask one of our crew members. We wish you all an enjoyable flight. Thank you.
Okay, so there you go. Hopefully that wasn't too muted for you all there. Regardless, thank you for being here and hopefully experiencing this awesome aircraft. And I just pray that you heard that and you heard it clear, because I am not a 757 captain. I just have worked on them in the real world. So, that being said, I won't bore you with the drudgery of real-time traveling down these taxiways at JFK. We've got a little ways to go. As I said, we have to get to the intersection, make a left, and then follow it all the way down. Make the right-hand U-turn to 22 right, and right at the runway threshold before we get onto the active runway there, I will go ahead and bring you all right back instantaneously. So here we go. Okay, welcome back. We are just shy of 22 right now, crossing 1331 left/right, as you can see out the window there. I'm going to do the last call out. Basically, everybody needs to take their seats for takeoff.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
And everything appears to be the way that it needs to be. Let's go ahead. We are going to use quite a bit of runway today. Although, you'll see on the EPR notch there on the CRT screen, we don't really need a lot of power to get out of here today, but I said this is a 757 with Rolls-Royce engines, so we're going to go ahead and hot dog it out of JFK today. So, everything's all set up on the EFB here. I've gone ahead and changed the flight level to 38,000 instead of 40. We may step climb up there. We'll see how everything goes. Checklists are all normal and completed. And let's pull on to the active. All right. Let's line on up and and get on out of here. You can see the bouncing of the weight. I love the suspension in this X-Plane 12. Bring the power up. Still says no V speeds, but we know to rotate at approximately 133. That's the VR. And there's the Rolls-Royce motors coming alive. And hot dog speed. We did change the flaps to 15. And we'll have to pull the power back quite quickly because this aircraft will absolutely accelerate into the red zone with the flaps. And gear up. And power back. Flaps to 5. Let's look out the windows. And we'll go ahead, throw power up even further. Flaps up. And then let's do a climb. New York City out the right window there. Okay, so you can see we are climbing at approximately 3,000 feet a minute. Gear up, flaps up. We are still accelerating at 4,000 plus feet a minute in the 757 with 170 passengers. 6,000 foot a minute, and we're barely losing indicated airspeed. This is the power of the 757. I kid you not, that is not an exaggeration at full power. So let's come on down here. We'll start following the flight director. And we have auto throttle armed. We have the flight director armed. We want to keep it respectable under essentially 250, below 10,000. Yes, I know altimeter is actually 2992. So let's go ahead and turn on LNAV, VNAV, thrust, autopilot. And we are at climb power, following the flight director. With the indicated airspeed Mach annunciator blacked out there due to the fact that, of course, our engine control, our computers are being controlled by the engine. If I could learn to speak English. Good hydraulic pressure. We'll check up here. We'll make sure that our cabin's doing its thing. Differential pressure, about 3 psi. Cabin is going up for the altitude, or it should. And what I'd like to do is turn the auto rate to full. That way we can make sure we keep up with the insane climbing performance of the 757 with Rolls-Royce motors. Everything's good. And we're going to leave our door locked here. We'll go up here and we'll make sure that everything is functioning properly. We have all good color lights here. Yaw dampers are on. Engine limiters are on. Engine ELC's on. Rather, engine control, electric engine control is what I'm referring to. And everything's looking great. Let's see if we can hear this guy complain a little bit.
Sir, I think you might have forgotten about the cabin safety routine.
No, we already did that. You're gonna find out there in viewership land that this guy is quite the trophy.
I have nothing to say, sir. Is there anything you want? Yes, sir. Still nothing to say.
There it is. So LNAV and VNAV, everything. We are going straight up to 38,000. Let's see if we can pull up our window here for our Navigraph chart. And let's see if we can maybe just view where we are. It may show, it may not show. If it doesn't, we'll go to the map here and we'll see that we are heading towards ship. I want to make sure that we're heading towards ship. We've got vectors 232, but I'm going to go direct ship. So, direct ship. And we'll let the aircraft handle that. So we're at 224 now, of course. Or, yep, 224. We'll let that work its thing, and then once we get to ship, I'll go ahead and bring you guys back. We should be quite a bit higher at that speed. Obviously, we're going to St. Thomas, so the goal here is to go due south. Be right back.
Gentlemen, our aircraft continues to climb. We would like to remind you that all flights of our airliner are non-smoking. For your safety, the lavatories have been equipped with smoke detectors. Damaging or disconnecting the smoke detectors is strictly prohibited. On the overhead panel you will find a personal lamp, air conditioning, and a flight attendant button. The lavatory for the business class passengers are located in the front of the airplane, and for the economy class passengers, in the back and center of the airplane. For your safety, when seated, we recommend to keep your seatbelt fastened, even if the fasten seatbelt sign is up.
Okay, welcome back to the piloting command. We did descend a little bit. I was at 42,000 for cruise level, but I was not achieving the speeds that I wanted. I checked with the FMS, and although I wanted to save fuel for the economy long-range cruise, it told me that I should be at between 360 and 400. So we split the difference. We're back at 38,000 as advised. And I have just a little bit of a message. Well, rather, the first officer has something for the crew here and the passengers.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign, and you may now move about the cabin. However, we always recommend to keep your seatbelt fastened while you are seated. You may now turn on your electronic devices, such as smartphones, CD players, and laptop computers. Ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments, the flight attendants will be passing around the cabin to offer you cold drinks, as well as a light meal. Please make sure your seats are in an upright position and prepare your folding trays. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now start our onboard entertainment program. For your comfort, we will lower the cabin lighting. In the sidearms of your chairs you will find your personal headphones. If you would like to continue reading, please use your personal reading lamp.
And just as the same as he's got stuff to say, I have stuff to say. Basically, we've got our VOR DME in the auto position for the tuning purposes. We've got our course knob set to 100. That way, when we come in for our ILS 10 approach, we have the correct course programmed in. Naturally, I forgot to mention on the ground that the transponder was turned on, and I do not have the weather radar in any necessity today, so do not need that. Not really obviously going to use it, especially with the outside over the Atlantic. Views on views as far as the eye can see. So when we are closer to top of descent, which coincidentally everything wants 420, but we are going to fix that to say 380, and if not, we know that by jets we have to be at 6,651 feet, but we have 205 nautical miles to get there from 38,000. So everything's pretty good here. Nothing on the ICAS showing as a problem. Cabin, hydraulics, temperatures, everything's working out perfectly. Following the magenta line, 40 nautical miles to Bexham. and it's all looking prim and proper. So at top of descent, I will see you all there. Okay, welcome back. We are approximately just shy of being 30 nautical miles from our top of descent here. You can see on our display, top of descent. And we still have 129 nautical miles to Jet's waypoint. Let's throw that up on the screen. So you can see we're getting pretty close, right? It's only 205 nautical miles for the whole route from where we were to where we need to get to for Jets. So that being said, I can turn that off for you. Let's hop on down here again, and we'll go to the FMS here, and I'm going to go back to the index and a couple things for performance. We'll do takeoff, we'll do complete. What we are looking for here is the approach. So I've called for a flaps 25 approach. That's 132 knots as indicated. So we've got that there. We've got the ILS 10. That's 110.10 on our nav radio. Also set to auto. Disregard the 110.20. And let's go ahead and play some more cabin callouts while we're at it, just before top of descent. Let everybody know that the seatbelts have to come back on. Also, these descent checklists here, and then we'll set the auto brake to 3. And we've got our VREF, approach briefing complete, and then altimeters and nav aids. So we spoke on the 29.92 for the day, and then the nav aids are also set. So let's go ahead and hit the approach, and then we've got the landing. We also verified that we are back towards landing altitude at the airport of 20 feet approximately, so we are there, and it is set for that. We're going to throw the landing lights on, hopefully around 10,000 foot indicated. And yeah, about those PA callouts. So let's just let people know.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position. Make sure your seat belt is securely fastened and all carry-on luggage stored underneath the seat in front of you or the overhead bins. Please turn off all electronic devices until we are safely parked at the gate. We hope that you found our flight enjoyable. We would like to remind you that cushions and blankets are to be left in your seats. Thank you.
And then, of course, we can do the start descent right after we hit the top of. Just a quick recall here. We're headed towards Jets at 6665. So I've already queued up the altimeter for 6600 there. We have VNAV. We still have auto throttle. So all of that's all set. And all we have to do is let's ring in this distance one more. And 10 nautical mile range, so we are within 5. And then as soon as that green circle hits, we will start the descent. Seatbelt lights are on. Passengers have been notified. You know what? Let's harass the first officer again.
Yes, Captain. Always at your service. Captain, I'm getting tired of this. Captain, I'm getting tired of this. Captain, I'm getting tired of this. Captain, I'm getting tired of this.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Okay, so there we go. PA, let's do start descent.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind you that use of all electronic devices during descent and landing is prohibited as it may interfere with the navigational equipment. Thank you.
Okay, so the airplane should manage its own top descent. We are coming down from 38,000, and we should be arriving at Jets approximately in 97 miles, so that's quite a glide path, but we're pretty high up, and as we are a passenger liner here, we do not want to do any dramatic stunt shows on descent here. So that being said, if all goes as planned, we should be there in just under 100 nautical miles. From there, you can see 23 miles to Cutho, and then Jackie, and then St. Thomas. So we're pretty much on our way. You've seen just how far we were on the flight plan there. And when we're down at 6,600 feet, I'll go ahead and update you again. See you in just a second. Okay, out of 22,800, just another quick update. Let me go ahead and bring something up on the screen here that you're familiar with. The St. Thomas approach chart for ILS 10. So you see the Cutho, right? You got that there, 2,800 feet. And then we're going to go to Jackie, 2,100 feet, where you are going to intercept the ILS glide slope there. VNAV plus LNAV, and I'm undecided yet if we'll fly it manually or we will just let the airplane fly it in on a localizer. Regardless, that's what we are looking at. So I just want to show you that, keep you up to date with the actual approach plate, as well as you can see on our screen here, we are approaching jets, 47.3 nautical miles and closing fast. Green line, obviously where you are going to meet that altitude constraint of 6,600 plus feet. And if I zoom out one more rank there, you can see there's not much left on the flight plan, of course. You can see straight in, slight right turn. And what I've also gone ahead and done is set my heading to runway heading, essentially 100 degrees. That way the dashed line, it gives me an idea for some situational awareness. That way I know approximately which way the runway is heading in relation to the true direction that I am flying. So that's just a little bit of that. So, lo and behold, again, just wanted to update you briefly. See you at 6,600 feet. Okay, welcome back. Out of 3,300 feet, still aiming there for Cutho. Set it to 2,100. It's a few hundred under, but that is St. Thomas. As a matter of fact, the runway is just off of the tip of that nose there, if you can see it, in that bay area. But we'll pay attention to our flight track here, as we're going to have to start slowing down here for final one last turn. And we should be good to go. Let's ring in the notch on the range. One more, 5 miles. And obviously the landing lights are on, you saw that. Everything's good there. So we should be making our turn any minute here. And then, because I've opted to be at 2,100 feet, the aircraft will hopefully maintain 200 knots. And then we can start bringing in our flaps and pulling our speed back. So we are at 200 now. I'm going to pull it down to 190, 185 as a matter of fact, so we can get closer to our speeds that we need. And then I'll go ahead and drop the gear. And still letting the auto throttle do its thing. Let's go ahead and throw in some flaps so that we get a lower minimum speed. And as you can see, the runway is right off of our nose. And we'll just tug on over here real quick with the view. Go down to 15, and then we'll do 25 for our final. Gear down. Auto brake set to 3. We'll fly 2,100 feet and we'll hold, and then I'll go ahead and make sure that we are on the approach for the localizer. Make sure it's on auto. Oh, there you go. The button broke off. There you go. There's your study level, my friends. How about that, would you please? Let's slow the speed down a little bit. Throw in another flap, another notch of flaps. Almost to 25. There we go. We're flying within our window, and we know that our approach speed is 135 knots. So we'll allow for that. And then we'll turn the LNAV off and start flying this beast ourselves. And let's just disengage that. And we're very close to the speed there. I'm hoping that that shuts off. I do not want to hear that. So let's go ahead and change that real quick. And serviced. So there we go. Autopilot disengage. Yes, indeed. Okay. Wish I could quiet that down, although I am no 757 captain. We're close enough that it would be nice to not have the audience out there listen to that mumbo jumbo. It's a clear day. And there you go. The button is literally hanging off. So there we go. Now that warning would stop had we turned the volume up. Just had to re-engage that disconnect button. So I'm looking at the tree, left hand side, right after the touchdown markers there. We've got 3 whites and 1 red. Just trying to trim this bird for neutral flight so that I'm not having to fight the yoke. This is essentially 2 whites over 2 reds. It means we're right on glide slope here. A little high. That was actually entertainment at its finest. I could not plan that. And all of the while, I'm trying to focus on landing, and you're probably just staring at the VOR DME button that literally just flew off. That is amazing.
500.
And plenty of energy, so chop the throttles a little bit. We got speed and we got altitude.
Minimums.
And a little bit low, but that's okay.
100.
Plenty of room.
40. 30. 20.
And cut the power.
10.
And reverse thrust. And apparently they're clapping for us. Although, if they had seen the state of that button, they might not actually be clapping. Okay, auto brakes to off. We'll take it from here. And I'll pull off the runway. Main terminal is on the right-hand side. Okay, let's get the blinders off and go over to the nose wheel. and I'd like to thank you today for flying A to Z 123 Airlines. Apologies about your navigational VOR button, but that's what you get when you fly with Jank Airlines. So there's your study level. You've got your button hanging off. Now, is that necessary for simulation experience? I think it's kind of funny. Hopefully you made it all the way to the end of the video to literally see that goofiness. But FMS just letting us know that we have indeed made it to St. Thomas. And it was quite undramatic other than that, naturally. So we've got the lovely water here. And as such, hopefully you all will go out and enjoy yourselves a nice little swim. And let's see if we can't not get this spot here without this gas truck causing another dilemma for us. Gonna swing wide. And then come on in here. Wanted to turn earlier, but that truck was there, so you know. Seems as though it feels like it's loading scenery here. And we'll just line ourselves up. There you go. In an effort to show you some of the animations on this plane, I've gone ahead and left the flaps down, but they are excellent. And just like that, we're going to make sure the parking brake is indeed set. And let's go ahead and turn the engines off while we fire the APU up. We'll leave the left one running. And we'll turn our right hand pumps off. We'll turn our right hand engine off. And we'll go ahead and we'll turn our right hand engine bleed off. And when the APU comes alive, we'll just make sure we flip on generator. Then we will operate the pneumatics, so on and so forth. Nice and easy day. So basically JFK to the British Virgin Islands, or US Virgin Islands. There you go. On. APU bleeds. We can leave the packs on. Remove that for the engine bleed air. Let's turn the engine off. And let's make sure that we remove the fuel pumps and the engine electrics and the hydraulic electric pumps, right? Reverse process here. We do not need our navigational IRSs, left, center, and right. And we do not need any of the other things. So they are all on. And everything seems to be running. Let's go ahead and remove the lights. Position lights are off. And then let's just see.
Yes, Captain. Always at your service.
There we go. Thanks so much, buddy. Okay, we'll finish turning our engine off here. And everything seems to be pretty good and good. Check one last time on our PA announcements.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, this is the captain speaking. I hope you'd enjoyed your flight on this aircraft and hope to see you again in the near future. On behalf of Flight Factor and Step to Sky, I wish you all the best. Thank you, and goodbye.
There you go. So we'll open all the doors and then we can just get on the ground and throw the stairs in there and the chocks and waste unit for the bathroom, so on and so forth, passenger bus, as it were. And we did not do a good job parking, but we've got our truck in there so people can get off. And hopefully you enjoyed your destination trip as well. Down here in St. Thomas with AOK Games and the Flight Factor V2, version 2.6.1.2, X-Plane 12. Till the next video, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you made it this far. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.